My name is Andy Butler.
And can you tell me a little bit about yourself, please, Andy?
Oh, right, okay. How long's a piece of string? I'm 52 years old. I live alone. I'm single, gay. I gave up work about, it's now 2018, isn't it? I gave up work 6 years ago. No, sorry, 8 years ago, to look after my father, who was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in 2000. But I didn't start looking after him until about 2010. He passed away in 2014 at the age of 80. And that's how I really got all my experience with the PD community in the world, from looking after him and his nurse and taking him to places. I've lived in Canada. I've lived in Australia. I've lived in South Africa. I've lived in Rhodesia slash Zimbabwe.
Wow.
I've worked in gaming most of my life, so I've either worked in the bingo industry or in a casino from a very young age. I did go to catering college once I left school, but I found long hours didn't pay enough, basically. I'm quite happy here in Richmond upon Thames, over in the UK. And I attempt to create awareness for PD.
Can you tell me a bit about Parky's Radio? 'Cause you're involved in that.
Okay, Parkinson's Radio. Basically, when I looked after my father, as when he went to bed for the 4 years I lived with him, every evening I literally began my journey through the PD world. So I went online. I didn't even know what Facebook was. My sister-in-law said to me, "Have you got a Facebook account?" And I was like, "What's Facebook?" So everything I know, she's taught me. But basically, I went to every website, joined hundreds of groups, read books, ordered books. So literally for 4 hours every evening, I was looking, reading, or doing something to do with PD. And I came across a thing on Facebook. I didn't quite know what it was. I clicked on it, and it took me to some website that was clearly all in Belgium, Dutch, as I know it is now. And I'm thinking, I haven't got a clue. So I took it to my sister-in-law, and she said to me, "It's a radio station. I think you click on this." So I clicked on that, music came on, and then we found someone who spoke Dutch, and they could read the website, and they said to me, "Oh, these people are going to come on at these times, and they will play music." So I clicked on the links and listened to the shows that they were doing. Obviously, they were all in Dutch. There was one man, though, that did it in English, and he came from Yorkshire in the UK. So then I thought, why does no one know about this man? And he's been doing shows for like 8 years, 9 years, 10 years, and everyone I spoke to never heard of him. I thought the concept was very easy. I thought the concept was quite easy to do. It didn't cost anyone any money. All they needed was internet connection. They could click on a link and they could hear someone talking about PD, playing music, doing all kinds of stuff from like different places, and for an hour, and then they would put 24-hour music on. So I thought this could be used in other places around the world. So I went to see them over in Belgium, was introduced to Jean-Paul de Kramer and Andre and Christine de Gretchen, and met them, spoke with them, became a DJ myself. And on my travels around the world, obviously people have taken it up in Australia, in Iceland, in America. So now there are quite a few places around the world where someone with PD, because all the DJs have PD, log on, do a radio show, music, do requests. Some have their own pages, radio shows. Then they always put a bit of PD in, whether it's reading from a leaflet, whether it's interviewing somebody about their life, what has happened to them, how they are coping with it or whatever. And then they log out. So it's a pretty simple idea. So anyone in the world that has the internet can literally listen to those shows. Obviously, with the time zone differences, you know, someone who lives in America is not going to start until 3 or 4 in the morning when the people in Australia broadcast. But it's run by people with Parkinson's. Everyone in Belgium has Parkinson's. The man behind it has PD. They have phrases like powered by people with Parkinson's.
That's nice.
And that is, let your voice be heard. And clearly speaking to a lot of people around the world that aren't heard, people don't get a voice within the charities or the organisations where they live, I thought it was a clever idea.
It is a clever idea, and I think it's a lovely idea for people that maybe feel like they're alone and actually are the only ones dealing with it.
That's my point. So, like in Iceland, lots of people listen to the lady and man that do it there, a man called Vilberg and Joy, those gentlemen, and Iceland is quite like now in the winter, they don't meet, they don't trek through snow to a meeting. So the 1 hour a week they can connect with people and listen to what's being said. And it's proved very popular in Iceland, especially now when it's their winter. And their winter is something like, I think Vilberg said to me the other day, it was minus 24. Oh. And I was like, what? And she says, oh, the snow's only like 4 foot. It's really good. And I'm like, how bad does she? It can't be like 8 foot. And I'm like, oh my God.
It's like over the head territory.
Yeah. So again, and also it gives people something to do during the week. They have something to occupy their time, so the DJs take time, make a show up, record records, do records, download them, get people interviewed. So again, the DJs themselves, it gives them something to do over the week.
That's really cool.
There is now a gentleman that broadcasts from Liverpool. He's called Ian Scarrett, or DJ Scazza, and he has a show, I think he told me, on Thursdays and Sundays. So of course his will all be in English, as will Phil. DJ Phil is the man that's been the longest, and he broadcasts from Yorkshire every Wednesday. And also now there's Sean from, he broadcasts Blackmore on a Tuesday, I think. So there's 3 people now in the UK.
Sounds like a great idea. I think it would be something as well, if you were someone that perhaps lived on your own, you could know particular times that there's going to be something happening as well. It gives you something to look forward to. And
exactly. It's proven that people living alone are saying they feel company for an hour. And also when I travel, I do a lot of world travelling. I stay with people. So like, for instance, when I stayed with Madonna Brady in Australia, I then listened to her show and watched her doing it, and then I joined her show. So while I was there, we done 2 radio shows together.
That's really
like
cool.
People in Iceland, it's and it joins people together as well. Plus, it's worldwide. It's not just specific to one country.
I was going to say, I think I was reading an article about it the other day that you'd been involved in, and it was saying how big your community is now. It sounds massive.
It's something that it's taken, I think, Parkinson's. Some people have even messaged me. I think Parkinson's people is 2 years old now, so it's not that old. But because of how it's been created or made, and the people that are admins, they themselves make it successful. The people that follow them that they know, and being part of the Radio Parkinson's made it easier. So their shows are put on there, and people can share their shows. They use Mixcloud to record the shows. So if you can't listen live, you can listen to the recorded show afterwards as well.
That's cool. That's nice. So I met you probably, was the first time at World Parkinson's Congress, or did I meet you before that?
I think we'd met before, but I think we'd met at some event. I think it met in the Cure Trust.
Probably. We probably met in passing, but I remember meeting you properly in World Parkinson's Congress in Portland, which was, how many times have you been to the World Parkinson's Congress? Is that your first time as well?
I've only been to the one, believe it or not. So I was in Portland. I will be in Japan. Amazing. And I will probably with quite a lot of people in Japan. I didn't go. I think I went up to the Edinburgh one, but couldn't get in. I remember thinking I haven't booked a ticket here or done something, and there was a confusion. I got to know them via Facebook, really, and then going to their website, thinking this is quite a clever idea. Everyone is going to meet in one place, and people can learn from each other. They can listen to each other, and they can talk to each other. Obviously, if they can't speak certain languages, that is a barrier. But the idea, because my thinking of PD is that it won't be solved in one particular place or by one charity or agency. I believe it's going to be a multi thing. So, for instance, when the cure comes, because I do believe the cure will come.
I do too.
There's my hand. I put my. I believe the cure will come from some research in one country, and that will be put together with other research from another country. Then maybe another country, they will combine them all, and that will be your cure. What that cure looks like, what it is quite a difficult thing to say. But my belief is that it will come.
Yeah, I believe that too, and I agree with you. I think it's such a complex condition with so many different facets and so many different ways that it presents itself, that actually, I was talking about this to someone the other day, you know, you could find a cure for Parkinson's, but it could only work for patients that have tremor, or it could only work for patients where it started in the gut, or it can only work for patients where it's done this, and it could be like, you know, you would need potentially multiple things, or
I mean, I have no medical training, but I believe in the sense that we don't know, and it's going to be more faceted than we believe it is at present. I think as the research goes on, I think there'll be different forms. For me anyway, there will be different forms of Parkinson's. So everyone won't just have atypical Parkinson's. Yeah. It will be, you have this kind of PD and you have this kind of PD. Because everyone I meet, it's a different, no one is the same.
No, it's true.
And it's very difficult to know why or where. And so much research comes out that some of it I read, I think, what? Others, you read one thing and then I can go to somewhere else and read something completely different. That's the other thing with a lot of research is, one research says this drug is no good, you read another research and it's a good thing. Or you read something that says this may help you, and you read something else that says no, it's a bad thing, like cannabis, basic cannabis oil, and all of that stuff that's now coming out. Again, it's illegal in different places of the world, but that's just one example. There are so many different research things saying, half of them are saying yes, it's good, and the other half are saying no, it's not good. Yeah. So it's difficult to know. It's quite difficult to know. Which is not irritating, but it's like, you know, it would be easier if all the research sort of went along and said the same thing, but it doesn't, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know. Well, I feel like you're a really kind of strong, committed part of the Parkinson's community. You're someone that I see popping up everywhere and, you know, getting involved in stuff, and you're a huge support. Does the community give any support to you that you feel you didn't expect that you'd get, or...?
Yes, really. I get, believe it or not, Emma, I get sent lots of stuff in the post from people. I get private messages from people thanking me. And sometimes it's simply, all I've done is like, I don't know, how can I explain it? I put one of Parkinson's women's support posts on Parkinson's people, and it had a link on it. And I think 2 days later, the lady behind Darcy Blake, I think her name is, sent me a message saying, "Oh my God, the link's gone. It's like wildfire, Andy. I don't know how you do it." And I just said, "All I've done is shared your post. That's all I've done. I haven't done anything." And I get lots of messages like that, thanking me for what I've done or for going to some particular place. I have a little mantelpiece up there that's full of gifts and presents from people around the world. And sometimes it's more like for instance, Madonna Brady and her family. I said, "Oh, I'm going to come over. Can you recommend a hotel?" And they immediately went, "No, you stay with us. It will save you the money going to a hotel." So while in Australia, I was there last year in September. I literally stayed with a gentleman down in Ocean Grove and drove around with him, no hotel bills. Stayed with a lady called Sandra Elms halfway up the Gold Coast. No hotel bills, got to Madonna and stayed with Madonna. So it was just travelling. Obviously, when we went out and we had dinner, I paid. I didn't just tag along. But it's those sorts of things. So sometimes people are to be picked up at an airport, or we can take you to an event. Because I remember being in America once, going to a Capitol there's a Parkinson's Association up on the Capitol Hill area, and I got to their forum, their meeting, was there the whole day, and a lady and man called Angela, Rob Maben and Carl Rob said to me, "Would you like a lift back to the train station?" I was like, "That would be wonderful. That would really..." And on our way, we stopped and ate dinner, and then they took me back to the train station. And they literally said, "This is the train you need to get on as well." So those sort of things are very helpful.
It's a very lovely community, I think. You know, it feels very warm and people are very giving, and it's that kind of common thing that binds everyone. We're all kind of pushing towards the same goal ultimately and trying to support each other. If when you first started kind of, you know, looking after your dad and being around for him and researching this, you thought you'd be in the place you are now, would you have believed it? Like all the things you've learned, all the things you've done?
No, certainly not, Emma. And the people that I've met and the generosity they have shown me, there is no way in a million years that I would. There's no way in a million years I expected Parkinson's people to be as popular, to have as many followers or as likers. There is a difference, I'm told. And the people that I meet that are some of the admins, they tell me the reach is just way off the scale. This is happening. Links are like, you know, like the lady does. I never would imagine in a million years, because it's now 2018, and I would fair to say that 6 years ago, I didn't even have a Facebook account, Emma. I didn't even know how to share a link. I didn't even know how to copy and paste. This has all been done by me going to my sister-in-law once a week on a Tuesday evening and her showing me something. So in reality, everything I know is because she has shown me how to do it, and then I've practiced it. And also around the world, like I get invited, like the lady in Copenhagen, you can stay with me and my husband. Please come. I'm having an opening of Cure for Parkinson's, which is on the 2nd of February. And like people in Iceland, I've stayed with them. And nowhere in a million years did I ever imagine that I would know all of these people. When I meet them, they're all very nice people. It's something like, a lot of the time people ask me questions, Emma. There is always somebody that will say, "Oh, I never knew that." "Oh, really? Is that so?" And you have to wonder that with all the leaflets, pamphlets, all the educational resources, they're seeing at least some kind of doctor, whether it's a movement specialist, a neurologist, they have a nurse, and yet there are still people that say, "What, vitamin D, you know, or what exercise?" And I think to myself, why aren't the professionals passing all of this information on? I mean, the example I give you, I'd done a talk in the UK to a group of people. They have 2 Parkinson's nurses, and I talked about isotonic drinks. There are some people that it's easier to take their medication on, or fizzy drinks or isotonic drinks, because it should them quicker. Now, loads of them put their hand, half of them, let me say this, half of them put their hand up to say, oh yes, their nurse had told them this, but the other half, who saw the other nurse, had never heard of it. And I'm like,
and that can make a real difference between medication working well and not working well, you know?
Yeah, because they're going to the same outpatient clinic, it's just that they're seeing a different nurse. Now, one nurse has told all her people that this might help you, and the other nurse mentioned it, and I'm like, why would that be? You're never going to get...
I guess because it's probably not considered to be like a medical fact. It's probably kind of, you know, she's spoken to people and they've said it works. I mean, similarly, I didn't know for ages that you had to keep Nupro patches in the fridge, that they'd work better if you did that, until someone told me.
Really? You see, now I knew that. Again,
I didn't know for ages. I was using it for about a year before I spoke to, I think it was Thomas Gisby, and he told me, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I've been doing that the whole time, not... That's where like peer-to-peer advice is so helpful, because you sometimes only learn that stuff from talking to other people who know, you know, people who've got it, or people who've lived with people that have it, or have learned about it.
See?
What would you say, last question for you, what would you say is the kind of most interesting or surprising thing you've learned about Parkinson's during your time learning about it? Put you on the spot now.
It's some of the things that people have shown me that they do, Emma. Like things like, I know the new research has come out that YOPD have less caffeine in their blood than most other YOPDs, and you just think to yourself, what? Where's the caffeine gone? I remember reading it thinking, where's the caffeine gone? You know, but it's those sort of very strange, not strange, but like unusual things to do with PD, like the man who can't walk 2 steps, but can get on a bicycle and ride around for like hours.
It's like Eros with his being able to sing better than he can talk, and run better than he can walk, and things like that. I think it's just fascinating.
Yeah, see, that's what I think. It's absolutely fascinating. I'm thinking, how can that be? How
Yeah.
can somebody? And it's those sort of things that I go for. And people say to me, they show me things that they've done to help with their PD, the freezing of the gate, the man with the table tennis, with the tennis ball that's bouncing up and down on his
Yeah.
knees, and I'm like, huh? Huh?
It's
And I've
weird,
seen that
isn't it?
before.
It's
People
weird
take
how you can sort of
certain,
hack it a little bit. You can kind of
yeah,
hack your
basically
brain.
like a hack, yeah. And I'm like, if it works for you, my friend, I haven't got a problem. You're not doing any harm to anyone else. And it's those kinds of things that I go for. And sometimes someone says to me, oh, it's taken them a few years to learn this substance helps them, or they'll take a little bit
Yeah,
extra of something else, or they've learned to control their drugs. They don't take as much, they leave it for a while, or
yeah.
they take it earlier. And it's the perseverance of individuals.
Mm,
It's fair to say I know more individuals than great big agencies or charities. I tend to visit smaller projects that people have created themselves. Like Ollie Weinstein, the lady behind Dance for PD and the Mark Morris Dance Group. I went to see her, and she said, "Andy, I came in, I saw David Leventhal and the other gentleman. They knew nothing of PD. There was no research behind it whatsoever. And I said to them, it will work. Trust me, it
yeah,
will work. We'll make up a dance thing, and people will definitely learn from it, and it will help hundreds of thousands of people." And I said to David, so a lady walks into your that
yeah.
Mark, he says all this. What did you immediately think? And he said, I thought it was a bit strange. He spoke to his partner, and he was like, is she on drugs or whatever? But she went back, persevered, and without any research behind it, Dance for PD was created.
Yeah.
And I wish there are a lot of people that listen to people with Parkinson's when they say about things that are helping them.
Yeah.
And Dance for PD is everywhere now.
Because I
No
think
research. Again, sometimes I go to places and you hear, oh, we need research. We need to know that it's research based, that it's going to help people.
if it works
But
for more
that's
than
the way to do
one
it.
person, just get together and do it. Like if it works for you, do it. If it works for a group of you, do it. You don't need to kind of. There's so many people out there that are kind of like self-regulating and stuff like that, doing really interesting
Right.
stuff. I think it's whatever works for you. Just find. We've got to live with this for our whole lives. Just find what works for you. And I don't think I've found what works for me yet, but I'm getting there.